Welcome to the Four Chairs. Tonight's topic, Death Note. Mangas, live-action movies, anime movies, and the series. Let's go on. Really not even being fair here. He was the only guy out of all of them that even cared about trying to get all of them to work as a team. And truthfully, that's the only way they were going to escape it.
No way, I have to say, out of all of them, Bubbles was the best.
Buttercup was the strongest. I feel like she was the best. Green is also like the best color.
No, Bubbles was the best!
Dude, I don't care how much you like Nier, there's no fucking way he would have ever solved this case if L hadn't been on it first.
Four Chairs. Tonight's topic, Death Note. We're starting manga. This, I refer to this as the Death Box. It is every single volume, including the 13th volume and the How to Use It book, which tells you every single rule in Death Note. It tells you exactly what you can and can't do with the book. It's written in Japanese and English. I still have my tag so that I can get a subscription.
That's most likely expired.
It's most likely expired. But I did not realize that I had it.
Well, see, okay. Here, are you done? Okay.
Yeah.
I just thought of another reason you picked this up, why you could call this the Death Box. Because I could pick this up and go, and you would be dead. Because this thing is not light. It's got 13 books and a pamphlet in it. And your expired sign up for our magazine card.
Which added most of the weight.
Yes, that was the heaviest part. You took that out and I was just like,
It's still in there.
So you just proved that
well, then apparently I am hella strong.
That's
okay,
probably
here,
what's going on.
You can have some Death Box back.
Alright. This thing is so cool. I just liked, originally I was going to buy all the books. This thing, I seen it in my bookstore. I couldn't pass it up.
Has a carrying handle.
Yeah, because I'm going to take it to my friend's house. I don't know what was going on with the handle thing, but
the same reason they put a handle on the GameCube.
Whatever. It is completely sweet. I love all the artwork and everything on it, but I'm not really here to talk about.
Is he holding the pen? No, it's a staff.
Yeah, it's a staff.
Oh.
Well, a scythe. Anyways, what we're really here to talk about is this series. As for the books, I don't believe I'm the only one to have read the books, right?
I've read most of them. I don't think I've gotten all the way through the manga.
You didn't read the books?
Okay, I've only read the first 4.
Wow. Shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm like the only one that sat down and read the manga. To be fair, I read the manga after I saw the show, but I still sat down and read all the manga. There is another set that goes with this. 2 actual print books. One is the BB murder cases, which takes place right before the series started. At least I believe it's predate right before the series started, maybe a year or 2 before. And it covers a case. It's hard to explain it without giving it all away. It covers a case with B, another alphabet letter from the House of Wally. And
You also meet that one detective chick.
yes,
What was her name?
I'm having trouble with her name right now.
It starts with a T, I believe.
She's the one that's married to
Ray Penbar.
Yeah, Ray Penber. But in the House of Watari, there is another, like a whole alphabet from the way the book described it, and it basically pits L against B. There's another book, I haven't read it yet. I'm thinking it's probably based on the live action movies. It's L Change the World. It's the only thing I don't have.
Well, somebody stole your BB murder case book.
Yeah, that's true. But if nobody else has read the books, we're not going to linger on that. We're going to move to this. This is the series. There were only 2 major volumes that were released for it. I'm not sure how many seasons the show actually is verified. I don't know if it's broken into like 3 seasons or 2 seasons, or if it's just one big show.
I think it's only 2 arcs.
2 main story arcs.
Yeah, I think it does L's and then it goes to Near and Mellow.
Right. I mean, I didn't watch it right when this was coming out. I got to admit, I skipped out on Death Note for a long, long time. It wasn't until both of these were already at the store, and I didn't buy these. I bought the movie first because I figured the movie would give me an overview of everything, and if that was done well, then I would have to see this. And it wasn't but the very next day, right after I watched that movie, I bought the first, second season, the next movie, and every single book in one drop. It was like well over $200, but I had to see this.
Money well spent, though, because as we all know, this is not my favorite anime. We all know what my favorite anime is, but this ranks right up there with them. I had never even heard of Death Note until Reploid's like, dude, watch this. And he just hands me this first season, and I'm like, okay. So I take it home, I ask my wife, I say, hey, my friend says I should watch this. You want to watch it with me? And what you have to understand is my wife doesn't watch a whole lot of anime. So when she said yes, I was like, okay, but she's going to get bored and go back to doing whatever she was doing. And my wife actually sat through every single episode of Death Note and watched it with me and said she thinks it's better than Dragon Ball Z. That's debatable, but she liked it a lot.
I think it's two very different genres to try to compare Dragon Ball Z to it, but
Yes, definitely. You're talking Dragon Ball Z's fighting. This is more an intellectual anime.
it's more like an intellectual, ethical thriller.
Yeah, when I first saw this, the first episode I saw, my friend was like, come over and watch Death Note. And I was like, alright. And he's like, this episode, all they'll do is walk, and it'll be the best anime you ever saw.
When she hangs herself.
Yeah, when she
That's
hangs herself.
exactly the episode he's talking about.
And that was the first episode I saw. I was like, I gotta watch this. And I went home and I spent probably.
Never has walking down a street been so freaking cool.
Yeah, it really was.
I believe that this is probably my second favorite anime of all time.
First preceding it?
No.
What's your favorite, is what he's asking
favorite, you. That's a tough one in general.
What you just said,
you
it's your
said this is
second
your second
favorite. You
favorite,
gotta
so
have
how are
something
you
above it.
Yeah, but there's so many animes out there. But I'd have to say my favorite's Bebop.
So okay.
Okay, yeah.
Alright. I won't fight with you on that.
No, because, again, another great show.
Well, it's hard to... This anime borders on a very difficult edge. Not only was it dealing with a situation that absolute power corrupts absolutely, but it was also talking about the death sentence. It really delved into things like the death sentence. Like, is it right? Are we making mistakes? The people that are proved innocent like 7, 8 years later and stuff like that. And at first what he's doing is admirable. He does feel that he wants to put the world back on track. He's trying to fix things. He wants things to run just better. But at the same time, he's working at like a high school intellect. No matter how intelligent he is, he doesn't think it through on an ethical or human aspect. He just simply thought, this is bad. If I remove it, it'll be good. And there's nothing is ever black and white. All life is lived in a very gray zone, and he did not understand that when he set out to do what he felt he was going to do.
Right.
Plus, he very rapidly got that kind of god persona.
And then
he got
then
lost in it.
Then he started losing what he sought.
Yeah, I think by the end of it, towards the middle, I'm not really sure if I viewed him as necessarily the bad guy of the show, quote unquote, but definitely towards the end, he had crossed the line.
Oh, yeah.
Like it was time that what he was trying to do was no longer obtainable. It was done. He overstepped his boundaries. But getting into this in general, this series, there's a couple major things we have to talk about, but I figure first I want to bring up this thing. There's another one of these. I'm not even going to pick it up. This is the anime movie. This is the only thing in the entire series that I will tell you sucked. It's garbage. It sucks. It's boring. It's nothing but like an hour and a half or 2 hour long recap. They don't show you like they show you like one new footage. At the very start, you see like the death thing, like the Shinigami, right? And he's there, and he talks a little bit, and he's like, "Back when I met the boy," or some shit like that.
Yeah, the opening.
Yeah,
And then it just goes back to, hey, now watch everything you've already seen.
They just showing you like 15-minute cuts from different episodes. Like, see this, see this, see this, see this, see this, see this, see this. Now that you're falling asleep, movie's over.
It's supposed to be through the eyes of the Shinigami Ryuk and
Right,
seeing
but
what
it
he
didn't feel
sees.
like that.
No.
They didn't even redraw it out in different areas or give it like a more animated feeling or increase its like nothing.
Well, in my opinion, the way they could have made that movie kind of cool, and I don't know if you guys would agree with me, but it's supposed to be through the eyes of Ryuk, right? So how come when I watch that movie, everything he sees, I don't see it the way he sees it?
That would have been a neat concept, but I think my biggest problem with the movie is that it reminded me of another movie that let me down
Oh yeah.
extraordinarily. Because years ago, I watched an anime that I got quite addicted to called Blue Gender. And then I watched the movie. And we never repeat that mistake ever again.
Hey, you want to watch that movie when we're
No, absolutely
done?
not.
But I want to share with you the pain of seeing bad
You
movie.
can watch that movie, and when it's over, you can cut yourself in the corner in a dark room by yourself, and it'll be completely justified.
Before I do that, do you have any Good Charlotte? Because it's the only thing I listen to when I cut myself.
There are a couple other areas that we definitely need to delve into.
These two movies right here are the ones you want to see, right here. These are the best out of all the movies that are out for Death Note. It is following the story in a different way. You would actually have to see the anime, then watch the movie to understand what I'm talking about.
There is one major difference that sets everything down the line. Instead of giving the book at the third junction of Kira, he does not give it to the quote-unquote ex-Kira. He gives it to a movie, like a studio reporter,
Yes,
right?
a reporter, yes.
And she is not nearly as second-guessing as ex-Kira is. She didn't read ahead in that same way, so she caught herself, and because of that, my favorite character in anime does not die. And we're on the next movie.
Alright, It'll Change the World. I actually enjoyed this movie a lot. I just liked the storyline behind it, and also, you know, at first I did like Light, and then after L died, I went back and I thoroughly enjoyed L because, I don't know, I'm big into Sherlock Holmes and detectives and stuff.
That was a feeling I got from him, and actually something that I was hoping that I don't know if they're going to do this, but it sure would be sweet. Now that they've got the books that run on the alternate storyline, they could go back and they could do all these different cases that he'd done before, and they could run like an entire Sherlock Holmes series just off that character. And I believe that if they did this, it would work very well.
I definitely read the books.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm rereading Sherlock Holmes for the third time just because I'm bored at work, so.
I get that.
Well, one of the things about L that I found the most interesting is they when they made him a genius in this book, the movies. Okay, a lot of geniuses have that thing that they do that makes them different from people. L, as we know, likes to sit like this.
Yeah, they over exaggerated every
chew on his
mannerism
thumb.
he had.
And eat a donut kebab. Offer you one.
Dough kebab.
And then, when he gets excited, what's he do? Falls out of his chair. And everybody's like, what are you doing?
Well, in the book, in the print book, he ate lunch, and lunch was literally a jar of jelly that he just scooped it and ate like an entire jar, and then offered another one to the person that was with him, like they want that. Like, I brought more for you. No, get that away from me.
Well, and then he offers her tea.
Is that her name?
Yeah, Takeda, that's her name.
Takeda?
I believe so.
But then he offers her tea. He's like, here, would you like some tea?
That wasn't even tea.
It's sugar with some tea on top of it, and she's like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, she drank it too without thinking about it.
When you first see L, you would never think that this guy is a genius because he's very childlike. with the sweets that should kill you. At least he should be a diabetic in my opinion, but no, of course not.
Well, he didn't really live long enough to reach.
That's true, I guess.
Diabetes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
diabetes. Like, I'm sure he was wrecking his body, but he was never going to make it very far. He barely even slept. Like, that's not supposed to be a mascara. He has, like, extreme sleep deprivation.
He's got very weird mannerisms, and it's that's what makes him
He's
cool,
also
though.
very cut off from, like, normal society. Like, he could not function in, like, if they sent him to, like, a regular school where he had to, like, sit down with you or me or in a class,
Sit in his
school
desk.
project. Like, it doesn't work. He can't possibly fit in because he's so out there that
Well, one of the things that L does that I find the funniest, okay? Phone rings. Mr. L, it's for you. Hello?
Yes, he likes to
Yes.
hold the phone like
Thank
that.
you.
yeah, that's pretty different. Like the way he holds things and everything.
I think he's a neat character because he's so much different from everything you're used to seeing.
What I'd like to see is like, did they ever explain in the BB murder case like what happens when he doesn't have a case? Because
When
like,
he doesn't.
yeah,
Well, he is, and they sort of go into this in the anime for a while, but the book goes into it even further. He has like 5 or 6 different detectives that are working towards the same goal to be him. He's all of them. He never has a downtime.
He's constantly working on a case.
well, because I know like in Sherlock Holmes, going off topic a little bit, but whenever he was in a down moment off of cases, he just completely shut down. He couldn't have be without a case because he couldn't deal with inactivity.
He was weird though. Like if when people read the actual book, he like had real bad hygiene, and he was kind of an asshole and a womanizer. He was like an underground illegal street boxer, wasn't he? Like wasn't he like didn't he do like cocaine or something like that
Yeah,
to slow his thinking patterns or something?
Yeah, that's
so
like during the down times. But as soon as like he got a case, he'd perk up and he'd be energetic and he'd just see everything that nobody else could see.
yeah.
He'd pay because somebody would walk in the room and he'd be like, "Oh, you were in Afghanistan. You know, you're a painter. How do you know this?"
How do you know?
Well,
that
there's
he's
some
shaved?
sand on the bottom of your coat, and there appears to be some black paint on your cheek.
Or he'll be like, "Your window's on the left side of the room." Well, how do you know that? Because right back here, because it's this time of the season, you didn't shave too good. You missed that spot, so the light had to be reflecting this way, so you missed it.
That was ridiculous how those always worked, but I do feel that his character was probably stole from him. L is my favorite character.
No,
And
we all can sit here and say how great L is, and L is my favorite character too in the show. But there is another character I want to talk about that I feel like maybe one other person here will feel that he's smart, he's intelligent, he can do. I believe that he would have been able to solve the case as well, but you know, yeah.
I don't think he could have done it without L's notes.
Well,
No.
Without the predecessor, without the notes that came before, he would have ended up dead just like everybody else. Like he was more in tune with like what was he working with? Was he working with Homeland Security, FBI?
FBI and CIA.
Yeah.
That was their main forces.
Yeah, like he was working directly with. So he still didn't have the type of power that L did either.
He took over though, because he came to the president and he was like, "This is all L's stuff," and
Yeah.
they're like, "Okay," and it kind of gave him an authority figure over him, and then he assumed it once he started doing like proving everything was right.
Well, he had. I don't believe the two are brothers. I think they're just friends.
That's what I've got from
Yes.
rewatching.
yes, they're actually rivals.
Yeah.
They're not close.
Well, technically, every single person in the orphanage is a rival. They're
Right.
all working towards being the top.
But I believe
Yeah.
there's always one person that competes against another person. Because in truth, I never read the book, so I don't really
Right.
know. But with L, I don't know who L was, whose rival. I mean,
They talk like in the book, and I don't know if this is true. They talk like B was the closest thing to becoming the next L, but he had this idea where he was going to prove that L wasn't the best because he was going to do something, create a scenario that L could never solve. And that's as much as I really want to say, because if people want to read this book, I'm trying not to spoil it, but there's not way too much I can say on that book without giving a lot away.
Right.
And I haven't read it, so no.
Right.
Me either. I just read the first couple pages.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet, man. It's really worth your time.
But the character that we've been talking about, if nobody knows, is L's true successor, is Nier.
I have to say, he's probably got the closest shot to
Oh,
L.
he looks like
Okay, I'll say that, but let's be fair here. I'm assuming that there's an entire alphabet at the orphanage.
Yes.
There's still a lot of people they did not bring in that if they went down a different detective story, especially in the terms of the books that are coming up, there could be a... Now, I'm guessing W is Wate.
Yes,
the dead
actually,
guy, and he's dead now.
they've already proved that.
Okay. And I believe B is dead, and L is dead, and
K.
K is
She's
dead.
only in the movie,
Yes,
though.
but there's also a guy. There's a guy in the L Change the World movie who dies. He dies at the very, very beginning. He has that disease or whatever.
I believe that's T.
I can't remember. He may be T, but he's off the chart now too.
They're running low on people.
So if you count those 5, Nier and Mello, you've still got 19 letters of the alphabet left.
Which could all do different stories and different things.
But I mean, out of the 2 they showed us, he's the closest one to the successor. I'm going to believe that they chose those 2 because they were the closest in competition to L.
I'll go ahead and give you that, but even then, they seem to fall drastically short. And maybe I'm not being fair because I really, really liked L, and when he died, oh man, I was pissed. I was so pissed, man. I'm glad that I watched the show first, because I probably would have like thrown the book or something.
Been in for a rude awakening.
Yeah.
I was watching that first season, and I didn't know what was going to happen because you refused to tell me anything about this when you gave me that to watch.
Right.
And I'm watching that, and I'm like, yeah, getting into this. Oh, I really don't want to watch this anymore. Because I was just so mad.
A lot of people did that from what I understand. I talked to different people at bookstores and different things like that, and even on different forums, and there are a lot of people that never watched the second half of the show. I know people that as soon as he died, they did not watch the next episode. They assumed it was done, that was the ending note.
I'm going to tell you something. When I watched it and I seen him die, yeah, I was upset and shit, but no. I want to see what happened next, because if that guy, if he died, man, what's going to happen next?
Believe it or not, it took me a while. When that episode was done, I turned it off. I took it out, I put it away, and I didn't watch. It took me a long time. One night, it was like maybe almost a month later, I was sick, like feeling shitty. So I told everybody go home, and I was sitting there, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna finish it. And I picked it up and put it in. And it didn't take me but maybe like the rest of that night into the morning, and I finished the show. Because when I started watching it, it was pretty sweet, I gotta say. But he was still dead. And that was not very sweet.
Now, my personal opinion, okay, Proto, I know that you really like Nier a lot. Of the 2 of them, I preferred Mello over Nier personally. Because I just liked his character better. Because it seemed to me like they tried to do something different with Mello, and that Nier was just like a carbon copy facsimile of
Yes.
It was
L.
I have to say
But
that's
if you-
kind of true.
If you base it purely on the movie, I know it's an alternate storyline. Nier, it makes sense if he was kind of a carbon copy.
Yes, in truth, yeah. In the movie sense, it makes a lot of sense.
Right, but in the actual anime and books, when he showed up, the only real major difference was that he like played with toys.
Took him apart and stuff.
Yeah, and like
He had
L
white hair.
ate candy.
And he had white hair.
Yeah.
Come on, man. 2 different hair colors. That is a difference.
Yeah, okay. They had different hair colors.
Here we go. Don't bash him.
I'm not trying to bash him. I am kind of trying to bash him. Like, the only thing that made it so that he won was because Ex-Kidda fucked up. That's it. That's what gave him the win. Because Light had assumed that it was this way. And then Nier had assumed that it was this way. And both of them had this idea that were clashing. And at the time, Light had already guaranteed he was going to win victory right there. But Ex-Kidda had already decided that he seen something going on. He tried to rectify it, not knowing it already been rectified, and switched it back, and that was the end of it. He wrote in a fake book, like all the way down, every single number. And then, you know, he's like like having his orgasm outside the door, and then he's freaking out, and they're like, oh well, every single one of you guys in here is dead, and that was the end of it. Like, that's where he messed up, and it would have been funny had he been like, don't worry, everybody in here will be fine.
I would agree. Even though I like Nier, I think that would have been funny, but I'm glad it didn't happen like that.
I'm sad it didn't happen like that.
I have to say, Light's death scene was pretty cool. Like,
dude, of all the people that went ballistic at the end, that shocked me.
We're not going to go into detail, but we're just going to say a name. Watch Matsuda.
Matsuda freaked out. Like, I just remember him standing over Light, like.
Yeah, because the whole show, you never seen it coming.
But he was so deeply, like, fully trusted Light and backed him up and put all his life into it.
We usually like to end our shows with some sort of closing note. I know we didn't exactly argue here that much, and the truth of it being that this show is brilliant. I think it is quite possibly, well, okay, I'll save that. We're going to do closing argument, thoughts rather, and then I believe there are a couple questions that are going to be asked, so we're going to throw this around the chairs now and finish this up.
All right. What was your favorite, like your most surprising scene when you were watching it? Like, I mean, when I was going through, I know I was going week by week based on the Japan thing, so every week I was like, holy shit, come on, don't end here.
Well, if you want to get shocking parts, a lot of people are going to pick the whole L dying thing. That was real fucking shocking, but that's not mine. Mine's the Matsuda one. When the end, that...
Okay.
That was that. I'm not
agreeable.
I've
I've never seen it coming. Seen it coming.
Well, I have to say, when I saw Light finally snap out, that was probably one of my favorite moments.
Dude, the laughing part,
Yeah,
the laughing scene at the
When
end.
he was laughing.
Yes, that was awesome.
Because he just he stood there, he was like, it's over, and then he just cracked, and you saw it, and they just couldn't resist.
There were a lot of shocking things for me in this show, because a lot of stuff happens that you don't see it coming. Of course, Elle died, which sucked, but one of the things that shocked me the most about this show is that Misa takes the eyes once, halves your lifespan.
Yes.
Okay. She loses the note, loses all memories of what she did.
Actually, just to break in on you here, just to get as technical as we can here with the storyline, she's about 14, 15 when this thing starts, right?
I believe so.
I think we did the math, and I think that...
Okay, now hold on. How old would you say she's going to be? Random idea. Let's
17.
make her 86. Let's make her 86, she's going to die.
Okay.
She takes the eyes. She is...
I'm going to say she's 17.
She's 17. How many years off does that cut? Does she lose half her life at that
What's
point?
half of 86?
No, because she's already 17. We're just going to say
then
she's 17.
Well, then
We're
take,
gonna take half away.
Take 86 minus 17, then take half of what that number is.
Okay.
69.
Okay, so we're coming up 69. So far, she just lost 69 years, or she dies at 69.
That's what 86 minus
Oh, that's
17.
okay. I was gonna say, holy
She's
shit.
got 69 years left to live without taking the eyes.
Okay, so now she takes the eyes. That cuts in half. We're gonna call that.
That's
35.
It's 30.
Just to cut it.
It's technically
34.5.
34 and a half years.
Yeah, we're gonna call it 35. We're gonna give her an extra year because
Okay.
she was pretty hot. So then she gets 35 years, but then she loses it and makes the deal a second time.
And nobody bothers to remind her, hey.
Yes. Actually,
No,
Ryu
he did.
does. Ryu.
He did tell her,
Oh,
and she still did.
That's right.
And so
she
that
still did it.
that takes another chunk off. That negated her. So already she's down to what? 35
You
years
said
to
35?
live at the very, very
Take
least.
half of 35.
Then you take half of that
17.
away. That takes her to 17 years
So she's
left.
gonna live to 34 years old.
And then she's dead.
Because you can't get around it.
No, there's no. Once you make the deal, the eye deal, there is
Yeah,
no getting
even
out
with the
of
books gone, even though she doesn't remember, she's done for. She threw away all of her life.
Well, didn't she kill herself in the
No.
manga?
it.
No, I don't believe she does. It leaves it open to debate, really, because there's like some weird things where she's kind of like it's kind of like a happy sorrow. Like she knows that something is missing in her life, but she doesn't know what it is.
And then I was surprised when the dad actually took the eyes.
Yeah, that was some shocking
Yeah.
stuff.
That was nuts.
But to prove his son's innocence, a father will go to any ends.
But didn't it matter? They pointed the finger right back at him the next episode.
Yeah. If I had to say some of my more shocking moments, I agree with what everybody said. L dying in the anime, but in the movie, L not dying shocked me. That was one of the big things, because when he came back down that staircase,
Oh yeah.
that was crazy. The other thing that really got me, when he had Pimber kill everyone.
Yeah.
That was nuts, because he
Yeah.
wrote everything down without names, and as long as a name was not written, the idea was never completely specified, and since it was not finished, adding the name completed the sentence, killed the person instantly. That was sweet. And then right after that, in the actual movie, there was the part where he gets his girlfriend killed.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he did it was sweet. Because in the movie it was a lot better than when the anime killed her, it was not as impressive as the movie. Like the way he did all that for the movie, that he had her come, he knew she'd be the only one with the gun. He did not specify ever in the book that she would be the one to die, simply that the gun and stuff like that was crazy. That he got away with what he got away with.
Well, my question is, hopefully this is going to be a simple question. Kira, L, which one?
What do you mean?
Which one did you feel was more brilliant in the end?
L.
Oh.
Well, I feel like Kira had his moments too.
Kira in the beginning was awesome, like just how he devised how to keep the Death Note hidden and stuff. But as soon as L entered the scene, he already had him trapped. He knew he was in Japan, in that one region.
I'll give you that.
Instantly.
That was sweet as shit. I do agree with that.
If he had started killing people in America, it would have changed it just a little bit.
But throwing L off, continuously throwing L off, and L having to question.
But no, that's not true. If you want to get technical, he never threw L off. There was never a time in the whole anime, in the books, in the movies, that he ever said, "I think you're innocent." He never thought he was innocent. Even when he got very, very, very close, when there was finally that shred of doubt, the only thing he said was, "Light, I hope you're innocent, because if you are, you would be my friend." And that was the only time he ever even came close. But even then, he threw it in his face like, "But I still think you're Kira."
All right, I have to say, what about the kind of gay scene at the top of the rooftop
With
in the
the
shower?
feet thing?
Yeah.
What the hell was that about?
Because I remember watching that and being like,
Apparently, in Japan, when you're friends and you come in out of the rain.
No, hell no, I refuse to accept that. No, you
Hey,
get
you're my
your
friend, right?
fucking feet out of here.
I have to say that was probably the worst scene in the entire show.
The only way I can explain that is I would say it comes down to
L kind of knew.
He knew
done.
what
what
was
is
going
that?
on.
That's like yaoi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I think that comes down to. It was like a weird yaoi scene, and I'm sure that over there were probably mangas, well, hentais and doujinshi, things like that coming up. They were probably depicting it, and for some reason yaoi seems to be a lot more popular, don't understand why, than yuri.
Yeah.
And That's my only guess, is that it was some sort of freakish fan service to the other side of the sexual spectrum.
They could have left it out,
Well,
in
and also
my
they
opinion.
could have
Okay, but we could say the same thing when we talk about like Evangelion, that we constantly get to see boobs without nipples. Like,
Well, I think it was more like they would have been true friends if none of this had happened. If they had met on, you know, solid terms, and it was just trying to, I don't know, give them an intimate moment to make up for Elle dying.
I guess, but man, it was awkward as shit.
It's
And
better
doesn't
than
he even
Berserk,
say-
okay?
Doesn't he even say something like where he's like, "I like feet" or some shit
I'm
like
not really
that?
sure.
Like,
I don't
I
remember.
tried not.
I can't remember. I remember when I seen it, I was like, I kind of like face palmed and tried to get away from it, and I was like, it'll be done soon. It'll be done soon. I believe it's a fan service.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. I think it's a fan service thrown in for the yaoi people, because I go online an awful lot and update my picture galleries and things, and I have a crazy amount of Death Note. Everything from Misa to Ryuk to other Shinigamis to him himself to badass pictures of Note and like surrounding things and stuff. And then of course I have a couple unslightlies. And then I've noticed that as you look for Death Note pictures, those two come up a lot. So I know that that's a thing, and I know that that was meant to be a fan service. That's
But
weird.
I think we dragged this part out a little more than we wanted to.
Talking about one of the worst possible subjects.
I do-
Also.
Hey,
I do want to end it on a good note.
Yes. Let's end it on a good note.
The live action movie in the grocery store when Ryuk saw the Apple stand and he starts dancing and stuff. That was great.
Yeah.
I had to say, I didn't realize that was a movie. I thought somebody was cosplaying. I thought that was a damn good cosplay.
You first seen that like a picture on the internet
Yeah,
or something.
I thought it was a cosplay, but then when I seen it in the movie, I'm like, oh, that is bad as shit.
I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, okay. So I guess this has been Reploid Productions, Death Note, Ryuk dances with apples.
so now you rub my feet, really?
No. It's on you, man.
Okay, so this is the 4 chairs and we're folding them up now.